The story of me. Take one. My name is Stefan Houff, and I'm a math teacher at PCC, and I've been teaching here since 2008. I love doing creative homework assignments and creative projects with my students. I love introducing my students to ideas and topics that they've never experienced or heard of before, the wild and wacky side of math. And it's my chance to really share with them what math really is and the real world connections to math, which is way more creative and way more interesting than the memorization of algorithms that they've been doing their entire lives in, say, a typical high school algebra class. In a normal math class, the geometry that we study is Euclidean geometry. That's the geometry on a flat surface. In reality, we live on a massive sphere, and our world isn't flat. We as people can't travel from one house to another as the crow flies. We have to go around the block. I get the pleasure of sharing those ideas to the students in my class so that it makes sense and it helps people see the world in a different way. When I was young, I learned math entirely the wrong way. I was really good at memorizing and regurgitating. And I think this is a huge, huge problem with students across the world. So as a teacher, I've kind of taken it upon myself to try and rectify my mistakes as a student and how I learned math incorrectly when I was young. So as a teacher of math, I try really, really hard for everything I do to always have some foundation, some reason why it is, versus just memorizing a rule or a step. I think math is really widely misunderstood. When I meet people, for example, when they learn that I'm a math teacher, a real typical response is like, ugh, I hate math. And I kind of have a canned response like, well, that's because you didn't have me as a teacher. Math doesn't have to be so dry and boring. Math is so much more valuable if you approach it from a creative and discovery-based way. When I decided to teach math, I was choosing between math and art. One huge connection that I made at some point in my life was when I realized that math and art are much more similar than you might think. And that's what I love to share in Math 105. I love playing music, for example, and I play the guitar and the harmonica and sing, and it's very mathematical. The best thing that I can get my students in a class to realize is that they can do math. That math doesn't have to be boring. That they can think about math in their own way, and whatever they're doing in their own way in their own head is mathematics. If I can get students to think for themselves and solve problems for themselves, that's the best gift I could ever give anybody who comes out of any of my classes.